Welcome back. How's it going? This lesson, we're going to be looking at RegEx and how to build regular expressions in order to pattern match content. So first of all, we need some content as well. So I'm going to put some default content, and really the objective is to type in and add in some real emails. So if we had realemail.com and a bunch of text here, and I'm just going to be typing it away, adding in some default content, and I'll make a few other real emails. So we'll have re-email 1, and sometimes we know with emails they've got dots in the middle, and also they might have, so I'm going to add in some additional text. Sometimes emails might have a dash as well. So we need to be able to account for all these different types of emails that might possibly be pasted into our text area. So we've got a few in there, and we do have some text surrounding it. So we need to be able to way to extract that information out. And before we do that, let's place that text into a JavaScript string so that we can analyze it a little bit better. We already have that JavaScript object, the text area, within an object format. So that's that text there, that raw text object. So we can take that value out and we can get the value out of it. So let's create a temp holder. We'll just call it temp. And this is basically our temp string using the raw text object. So we're already selecting using query selector. We've got that object. In order to get the value, this is going to be the same format as if we did document query selector and then selected the element and did value. So we've got it within an object format and we can get the value. And the important thing here is to note as well that if I did value up here, first of all, I wouldn't be able to select the object, it would only be selecting the value. And because we want the value in real time, when it changes, we need to ask for the value when the event listener gets triggered, because these values are actually going to be different because they're going to be changing. So if we set the string to contain the raw text value when it's originally loading the page, it's going to be different than the value. And of course, if it changes, it's going to be different from the value that is currently when the text gets clicked. So if we were to duplicate this and double it, this has already changed, and we need it being reflected within the real-time value. So next, what we do is we need to do something with that value. And just to make sure that we are getting the value properly and the current value, we can always double check and make sure that we are pulling in that value. You see it's being returned back as a string within our JavaScript console. So this is essentially whatever is being contained within here. And if I do that duplicating again, we get a much longer string being output. So as it changes within the text area, it's also changing here. So one of the tools that we can utilize in JavaScript is regular expressions. And so this time, this stuff can kind of get a little bit complicated, but I'm going to work you through the basics of it. And there's a really great website called regexr.com. And this allows you to try out and build out your regular expressions. So when you go to the page, they've got a default pattern. And what this pattern is doing is it's currently matching all of the characters from A to Z. And you see that it's being returned back here. And it's also adding in the word with the character attached to it. So if we were to remove out this word part here, we see that it's matching in and it's returning back all of the characters. So this is part of what we have to do. And this is uppercase. And you can also specify if you wanted lowercase. So you can do A to Z. And you see it's getting all of the characters, but it's not getting numbers. It's not getting dashes. It's not getting decimal places. So if we have our string here, I want to be able to get all of the emails. That's the nice thing about this tool, because I can paste that in. So I only want emails being returned. And this is where we can write up a little bit of a longer formula here. So we want to make sure that the string has letters, but we also want to look for the @ symbol. So that's where we can include that into the symbol. And you can see as we're writing out our expression, you see that it's selecting those out. So we've got test at, and we're not accounting for the ones that have the dots either right now. So we need to make sure we're selecting all of the characters, including the dots. So that's getting a little bit more of the email addresses, and as well as the underscores and the dashes. So now we see that we're getting the first part of the email out of the string, and we've still got a few other characters that we need to get. So we need to get the email.com. So that's the same type of idea as we've just been doing, where we can extend on the values that we're looking at. So we're still looking for all of the A to Z. we're looking to A to Z uppercase as well. So those are valid within an email. And also 0 to 9. So numbers are also valid. So in case within the domain, there's numbers, and we don't really have any of those, but I can add some in just to make it a little bit more interesting. So we're looking for the numbers as well. And we're also going to be looking for the dots. So that could also be valid within a domain. And we're also looking for underscores and dashes. So all of these are valid within an email address. So anything after that. And we also need to take the rest of the string value. So right now we're getting the first character after the @ symbol, and we're getting all of the characters before that @ symbol. So including it all as within an email format. So far so good. And it does take a little bit of practice with creating regular expressions. And that's why I always recommend this tool, as this is a great way. It's also got what's happening here within what tools are being applied. You've also got some options here within your JavaScript, and you can also add in to your global objects. So you can be case sensitive if you want, or you can turn that off. And we don't need that in this case. But they do have some more options as well. We could do multi-line, which we don't need for the emails, but they are there. And there's more information contained here. There's also a cheat sheet. So there's a lot of great stuff on this website. So if you are looking for RegEx, this is a great site, once again, to check that out and to build out your expressions. So we need to get the rest of the word. So let's add a plus. And you can see that we're already grabbing the rest of the word, but we want to make sure that we're matching the right patterns. So anything up to the dot, so that's all valid. And then we don't want to have all the same characters. So we want to make sure that, once again, we're getting that same matching of all of those same characters. So we get the .com, and if we do a plus to it, you see that you get the full .com. So that plus is really important. And the same thing that's doing over here and over here, it's by default, we get the first character afterwards. So when we add in that plus, boom, there we go. We get the full email address. And so we could do this, and we could also add into this case insensitive. So that actually doesn't matter about the case, but we're already accounting for it for upper and lowercase. But just to be sure, it's always a good idea to add that in. So even if they're uppercase, they're still going to be added in as email addresses. And I think I messed that one up. So let's put a dot in there and see what happens. So we've got our email address there, and everything looks like it's working properly. And we also need to add in that same string value here, the 0 to 9, as I don't see that that's added in. So we got to make sure that that is added in as well. So that way, it looks like we are able to extract out all the email addresses. So now it's just a matter of applying this, and we can pull them back as email addresses. So I know this is exciting, and this is where you can also copy out that match string, and I'll show you how you can add that into your JavaScript. So we've got our expression that we're using. And it does take a little bit of time to build these out, so these can get fairly complex, and there are shorter ways to do it and a lot of different ways to do it. So once you get more familiar with it, you can really get to utilize that. So let's create our expression, and I can just call it expression, and we can just paste that in there. So this is the expression that we're looking for, and it didn't actually get all of it in. So let's go back in here, because I didn't get all of the slashes in. So we need the /gi and the slash in front of it. So when I copied it, it left those out. So we got to make sure that we add those in as well. So we're looking for the slash, and then the slash at the end, and this is going to be /gi. So there's our expression. We've got that built, and now we can use that, and we can get the emails. So we can call it emails, email data. How about we call it email data? And we can use the raw text or the temp value, since we do have it within a value. So this again is the content that's contained within the text area. And take that, and using match, we can use the match method. And then the expression that we want to match to is exp. So we can just copy that in there. So this is the regular expression that we're matching. And let's output this into the console, save that, and try that out. So now when we go to emails, get emails, we get a nicely formatted listing of all of the emails. And you can also see that if I go over to here, and if I copy all of the string value in here, we're going to see the same emails being extracted out. So in that case, we had 17. And they're all valid emails because they're all matching the pattern that we set out. So this is our quick and easy way to pull out email addresses out of our string. And it doesn't matter how long the string is or how many email addresses there are, it's going to pull it out in a nice array format. So now we know we've got our array that we can work with, and we can loop through these email addresses. We know how many are found, so we can output that to the user. So there's a lot of things that we can do now that we've got the email addresses out in a nice array format. So coming up next, I'll show you how you can turn it back into a string and output it into the finished text area. So that is all still to come. So for this lesson, go over to regex.re, check out the website, try out building out your regular expression. You can have some fun with it, create your own string, hide some characters in there, and try to get those out of the string value. And also practice the emails. And by the end of it, your email string should look something similar to mine. And I do mention that there are different ways to extract out the emails. So there's different ways to do the pattern matching. But this is a really basic format that's really easy to understand. And there's a whole bunch more that you can do within the cheat sheet and just really a lot of stuff that's available within RegEx. So this is a great starting point if you want to get more familiar with RegEx and how it works. So go ahead and try it out. And in your application, make sure that you can extract all of the email addresses out of the string into an array format, and you can be ready to move on to the next lesson.